Welcome back to The Critique. Today we're looking at a submission that blends a clinical guide on back pain in older women with this really devastating story of financial betrayal by a daughter.
And it's an ambitious mix, but that blend is creating some serious whiplash for the reader.
Yeah, whiplash is the right word. I think that points to the first big thing we should talk about, which is that the piece seems to be having a bit of an identity crisis.
A massive one. It's almost like it's two different documents stitched together.
It is. You have this very detached, almost academic tone, and then you have this deeply personal, tragic narrative. The transition between them isn't a transition, it's a cliff.
It really is. I mean, look at the opening. The writer is setting a contract with the reader. We're getting phrases like degenerative changes, hormonal shifts, menopause.
You think you're in a doctor's office.
Exactly. It's a waiting room brochure. You're expecting safe educational advice.
You're getting ready to learn about calcium supplements or something. And then, with no warning, the floor just drops out.
It really does. We go from, the specifics of cushioning discs to an only daughter feeding her mother's entire retirement fund into a casino slot machine.
And that disconnect is so jarring. As a reader, you completely lose your footing. You just don't know what you're supposed to feel.
Are we in learning mode or are we in emotional mode? Because by trying to be both at the same time, it sort of fails at being effective at either one.
Yeah, that character, the daughter with the PhD and losing money, she feels like she walked in from a completely different story.
She really does. It's like, what is she doing in a paragraph about vertebrae?
So, okay, the writer hasn't picked a lane. I think we agree on that.
Right. To fix this, I think the author needs to make a really hard choice. It's about deciding what the primary vehicle for the piece is.
So either it's a narrative case study, where the medical facts are there to support the character's journey,
or it's a general advice piece, where the examples are more hypothetical and broad. But you can't have general advice mixed with my specific daughter did this specific terrible thing.
Let's talk about how to actually do that. Because choose a lane is good advice, but it's abstract.
Sure.
If they lean into the drama, which, let's be honest, is the more interesting part here, they have to stop burying the lead.
Oh, absolutely. You can't hide a betrayal that huge 3 paragraphs into an anatomy lesson.
So a concrete fix, let's call it option A. Start with the trauma. Instead of when a woman enters her 60s, start with something like Mrs. H felt that familiar stab in her back the moment she saw the zero balance on the ATM screen.
Yes, that immediately solves the genre problem. The back pain is now a physical manifestation of the stress.
Right, and when you bring in the medical context later, the cortisol, the aging discs, it all serves the story. It explains why her body is failing her right now.
The medical facts become the supporting cast, not the main character.
Exactly. Now, what if they want to stick with the brochure feel? Let's say option B.
Then you have to sand down the sharp edges of that story. The casino, the specific daughter, it's all just too loud for a general advice piece.
So you'd have to broaden the stressor?
You'd have to. You replace the gambling daughter with something like unexpected family crises or a sudden loss of financial security.
That lets the reader project their own life onto it.
Exactly. If you force me to picture a very specific woman at a blackjack table, you pull me out of my own experience and into hers, which isn't the goal of a general health article.
That specificity is actually a weakness in that context. But there's another place where the sheer weight of the story is causing a problem, and that's in the solutions.
Yes. This was the part that, I have to say, frustrated me the most. There's a huge mismatch between the problem's severity and the solution's depth.
It's the classic Band-Aid on a bullet hole effect, isn't it?
It really is.
The first half establishes this absolutely catastrophic event. I mean, this woman has lost everything, her savings, her future, her trust in her child. It's heavy.
It's devastating. And then we get to the how to help section, and the advice is, what? Gentle stretching and apply heat packs.
And visit a community center. It almost feels insulting.
It risks sounding incredibly minimizing. I mean, if I'm that woman and you tell me the answer to my life being destroyed is to try sitting up straighter, I'm not gonna feel helped.
You're gonna feel furious.
I'd be furious. It signals that the author doesn't actually get the depth of the pain they just described so vividly.
It just damages their credibility. You can't diagnose a soul-crushing problem and then prescribe some light physical therapy.
But, the piece is about back pain. So the physical advice has to be there somewhere. The challenge is, how do you bridge that enormous gap?
I think the bridge is all on the framing.
Yes, the feedback has to be to explicitly link the healing of the betrayal to the healing of the spine. The physical part has to become mental.
Okay, so let's get concrete. How do you rewrite, say, the stretching section to match the gravity of what came before?
You have to start by acknowledging the limitation. Just say it outright. Something like, no amount of stretching will bring the money back, the savings are gone. Start there.
That honesty buys you so much trust back from the reader.
It does. And then you pivot. You say, but while you cannot control your daughter or your bank account, you can reclaim control over your own body.
So you frame the physical discipline as an act of reclaiming the self.
Yes, it's not a chore anymore, it's a psychological victory. It's the one thing in the world you can still command.
I like that. You could do the same thing with the core strengthening advice too. The draft mentions bracing the core.
Make it a metaphor. Just as we strengthen the muscles around the spine to support the body's weight, we must build a new internal support system to carry the weight of this grief.
That elevates the advice from just physiotherapy to actual wisdom. It connects the emotional and the physical pain.
It makes the heat pack sound less like a trivial fix and more like a necessary act of self-compassion.
Speaking of compassion, or maybe the lack of it, we have to talk about the humor in this piece.
The PhD.
The PhD, yeah. So for context, there's a line where the author jokes that the daughter has earned a PhD in losing money.
I honestly flinched when I read that.
It just lands with such a thud. I know the intention was to add levity, but it really undermines the gravity of the abuse.
It's tonal dissonance, pure and simple. We have this portrait of a woman who is helpless and unsupported. She is a victim of financial abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And when the author cracks a joke about the person who did this to her, it doesn't feel like relief. It feels flippant.
It really does. It's like the author is winking at us over the protagonist's head while she's crying. And you have to ask, who is that joke for?
Exactly. A woman in this situation is not going to find that funny. She's going to find it tragic. The joke creates this distance between the writer and the victim.
And it kind of trivializes the villain, too. If the daughter is the source of this life-ruining trauma, calling her behavior a PhD in losing money makes her sound like a sitcom character.
It just deflates all the tension the narrative worked so hard to build up.
So the suggestion isn't to make the whole piece a funeral dirge. Humor is a great tool, but the target of the humor has to shift.
Precisely. You don't make fun of the tragedy. You use humor to build camaraderie around the struggles that are universal.
Well, there's another joke in the draft, something about the spine protesting 60 years of hard labor.
See? That one works.
It does.
Keep that one. It's relatable. Every person over a certain age knows that feeling. It's an us against the world kind of laugh. It's empowering.
But the PhD joke has to go.
It has to go. Burn it. If you need something there to break the tension, maybe use some dark humor about the medical system.
Right. Joke about the uncomfortable chairs in the waiting room or something.
A shared enemy. We can all laugh at bad chairs. We can't all laugh at having our lives ruined.
Or maybe it's not a place for a joke at all. What if it was a moment of, stoic resolve instead?
That could work even better. It would fit the tone of the rest of the piece.
And that kind of leads into the last big opportunity here, which is the so what?
The bigger picture.
Yeah. Right now, if I don't fit this very specific profile, if my back is fine and my family is trustworthy, why am I reading this? What's the takeaway for me?
That's the danger of such a specific narrative. It's very compelling, but it's also very narrow. The current ending is all about hope for Mrs. H.
But the reader wants to know if there's hope for them.
Right. The piece is great in explaining the what, the pain, the loss. But it's missing the broader so what. What does this one story teach all of us about being human?
I think the author has to elevate that conclusion. It needs to pivot from being about recovering from this one specific incident to being about, the universal experience of aging.
And the invisible labor that so many women perform their whole lives.
The key for me is already in the draft. It's those early medical details.
Exactly. The author spends all this time explaining how spinal discs lose moisture and calcify and get brittle. That is a perfect, ready-made metaphor for the human spirit under trauma.
So, okay, a concrete example for the ending. The author could write something like, just as the spine hardens and loses flexibility with age, our hearts can do the same in response to trauma. The challenge is to keep the spirit flexible, even when the vertebrae and the family have become rigid.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's it right there. Because suddenly all that dry medical data from the beginning has a purpose.
It's not just data anymore, it's symbolism.
It justifies the whole structure. It tells the reader, I gave you those facts so you can understand this deeper truth about life.
And it makes sure every woman reading it feels seen. Maybe her daughter didn't steal her money, but she knows what it feels like to stiffen up against the world.
That is how you take a piece from an interesting anecdote to a publishable essay. You just widen the aperture right at the end.
The potential here is huge. The raw materials are really strong. They're just not quite talking to each other yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. The battle plan for the author. 4 main things.
First, narrative integration. Pick a lane. If it's a story, lead with the story. Don't hide the most dramatic part.
Second, close that severity cap. You can't solve a catastrophe with a heat pack. Reframe the physical advice as a psychological tool for reclaiming control.
Third, tone. That PhD joke undermines everything. Cut it. Focus the humor on universal struggles, not this specific painful trauma.
And finally, the so what. Broaden the conclusion. Use the medical details as a metaphor for resilience, so the lesson applies to every reader.
This piece really deserves to be great. The emotion is all there. It just needs a stronger container.
Would love to see it again.
Absolutely. I really want to read the version that gives this story the narrative weight it deserves.
That's it for this critique. Get to work, and we'll see you next time.